all know that the field of instructional design is a really hot market. With the recent influx of all these people coming into the industry, you may be asking yourself, is this market too saturated? So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and some things to really ponder to identify if this is the right field for you. And stick with me until the end because I've got a bonus tip for someone who wants to be in the instructional design industry, but maybe not exactly an instructional designer. So make sure you stick to the end for that one. All right, well, first things first, I need you to really look at what an instructional designer does. I want you to look beyond what you see on YouTube, what you see on LinkedIn, etc. I want you to really do your due diligence and do your research in identifying what an instructional designer does. How are you going to do this? You are going to go on LinkedIn and ask instructional designers if you can, take them to coffee. And it does not have to be an in-person coffee. It could be a virtual coffee, but meet with other instructional designers. Learn more about their challenges and what they're actually doing day in and day out. LinkedIn, Instagram, perfect world. It all looks like we're doing all of these amazing things that are really moving the needle, changing the mark of instructional design. And I guarantee that most instructional designers are doing nothing nowhere near that. I want you to ask instructional designers that are not as well known, right? Instructional designers that are out there doing the work. And I want you to really be strategic about this too. I want you to ask instructional designers and do your research on IDs that are doing work in fields and industries that interest you. That will give you a little bit more of insight into whether or not this is the right field for you, right? If writing is not your favorite thing and you'd rather be in development and you meet an instructional designer in a certain industry and they're like, bro, all you're doing all day is writing, then maybe you're going to want to look into other industries or maybe different keywords in job descriptions and things like that to make sure you're doing the type of work that you want to be doing. So instructional design, like what you see here on the tubes on LinkedIn, it's definitely different than the day-to-day. So make sure that you're actually asking the boots on the ground what they actually do and really consider if that's going to be something that you want to do. And I would even take it a step further. Instead of asking instructional designers, just even in the industry that you want to work in, think about specific companies that you want to work in. Ask them, right? Ask them what they like. Ask them what they want to be doing. Ask them about the growth potential in their organization. And it's really going to give you a little bit more of the inside scoop into whether or not that's the right company and then the right industry for you. Instructional design can definitely look like a lot of curriculum plans and a lot of designing, lessons and modules and courses and things like that. Instructional design is actually quite administrative and quite the game of politics, if you really ask me. So when you really look at instructional design and identifying it fits for you, it's not just about sitting down and actually writing the curriculum. I mean, honestly, if I really sit back and I think about how long I really spend sitting and writing and doing, it's like a sliver of all of the other pieces of the job in order to get me to where I can sit and I can actually develop, right? So there is upskilling. Are you willing to invest your time and energy into continuously upskilling? There is nothing worse for an organization than an L&D department that never upskills, that never tries to, stay up to date with, what the trends are, stay up to date with what's going on in their own industry, what's going on in their own organization. So I definitely recommend that you really understand that when you get into instructional design, to do this right and to be a difference maker, you have to be willing to invest your time and your resources into upskilling. And sometimes that's not going to come on your company's dime or your company's time. So you really have to think about you as a professional, sometimes giving up, a couple of hours of your evening to attend a webinar, to attend an event or something like that. Just not always going to be able to happen through your company. The next thing I do want you to ask yourself is, are you okay being boxed in? Instructional designers on LinkedIn love to make it seem like they have all of this creative freedom. Secret for you. We don't always have that much freedom. And sometimes we take orders. It's true. Not even kidding. Sometimes a lot of times we end up having to take orders. Now, when I say that, I don't say completely, do everything that everyone tells you to do and not provide your professional opinion. I definitely say you should definitely be providing your professional opinion, but understand that in this industry, if you felt boxed in your industry before or by your manager before, you are still going to feel that way at times as an instructional designer. And it's okay. It's kind of like the hazing period, right? Probably shouldn't be talking about hazing, but you know what I mean. When you're trying to build up your reputation in the beginning. So it's okay if in the beginning you are kind of taking a little bit of orders or you are just trying to build up your credibility. Understand that sometimes you're just not going to win out over the business, even though what you're recommending is the right solution. Sometimes you just don't win out. What I always tell my team and what I, recommend to other instructional designers is say, hey, listen, give your professional opinion about what you think would be really the best solution for the challenge that they're facing. Make sure that they know you're recommending this and that you don't fully think that their recommended solution is going to be the right solution for this problem, or it's going to have the same effect that they're hoping to have. And at least at that point, you've put you put your flag down, right? You've said, okay, I don't think this is going to be the solution, but we'll go with your way because, I'm obviously not winning this battle. And obviously stick up for yourself and definitely make state your case. If that's something that is a challenge for you now, and it's something that really bugs you about where you are, and if it's something that is really hard for you, this is probably not going to be the right industry for you. Sometimes you just have to kind of swallow your pride, especially as a consultant, and then just deliver what the customer is asking for, even though it's not the right solution. Does that mean that you always deliver, bad training? No. Or bad solutions? No. You can choose to not work, or you could choose to not work on that project and say, this is just not aligned with my goals, my learning philosophy. You could absolutely do that. But no, you could only say that a certain amount of times. At times, you are just going to take an order. So definitely make sure that you're comfortable sometimes losing that battle. Hard for me sometimes, but at the end of the day, I at least have in my, on my side that I recommended something completely different. You didn't want to take my advice. And now we're here. And now you get to pay for the project twice because now we're doing it my way. I want you to ask yourself when you're thinking about whether or not instructional design is for you is, are you a salesy type person? Now, the reason that I the reason that I sell this to you is because you have to sell your solution to others. You are constantly trying to get and engage subject matter experts, key stakeholders to come over and try something new, right? And push the box and push the envelope. And there are different ways of doing that. I did find, when I was working in corporate and even as, a consultant, I'm constantly calling upon my sales skills and my marketing skills in order to move the needle, right? In order to push forward an initiative. And it's really about identifying what is the pain point for the person that I'm speaking with, whether it's a subject matter expert, whether it's a stakeholder, whether it's the end learner, the target learner, and how can I use that pain point in the solution that I'm providing or in, the pitch that I'm making to them as to why we need to be, revamping the onboarding program, or why we need to utilize some additional just-in-time videos for their software solution. It's about utilizing those skills and practicing storytelling and really connecting with, the person that you're speaking with at their pinpoint so that you can try to move the needle into getting, the better solution out there and moving forward with, what it is that you're trying to do. And sometimes it's about just trying to make that connection. Sales is a dirty word. I don't think it's a dirty word personally. But for a lot of people, sales is dirty. And I don't think that sales is dirty. I think sales teaches you a lot. Teaches you how to connect with others. It teaches you how to form relationships. The right salespeople, the not creepy ones, are those that build relationships and that really are all about relationships. And there's a lot to be learned there for instructional designers in order to help get them in the door with a hiring manager even. Think about it. Building a relationship, and if you can form a relationship in an interview with a hiring manager, you're 1,000 times more likely to get that job, because that person now has formed like some sort of relationship with you. I think that if you can build upon some of your sales skills, it will enhance your instructional design background, it will enhance your instructional design experience, and it will help push your initiatives forward and help make instructional design a little bit easier for you. I myself love this, and I know this is hard for a lot of our creative friends, but how are you at project management? A lot of instructional design is less creative and more project management, and really identifying like how many days is it going to take me to get that done, and if I do this on this day, how, like, who else do I need in order to meet that goal and that deliverable. It's all about charting, like, okay, when are we going to get this done, right? So you told me 3 weeks before launch that you need this training program done. I am going to now give you a project plan of something realistic that I can do within those 3 weeks. But I have to be able to give you a project plan that goes with that. So it can really be administrative at times, and you really are like a project manager. Definitely think about that. I know a lot of learning and development professionals that are amazing trainers, amazing L&D professionals, amazing instructional designers, but they are awful project managers. And I have sometimes told them to their face, like,
love you, hate your project management skills.
Which is fine where they are now because they are more consultants. They have a project manager that assists them. But if you are someone that is going into typically those corporate jobs, you are expected to be your own project manager a lot of the times. Really think about how you are as a project manager. You can be a really amazing instructional designer, but if you cannot stick to a project plan, or at least know how to tell someone that you're going to be late on something and really have that communication, it's just going to bug the crap out of whoever your boss is. So really think about project management, and maybe there's some areas there that you can upskill on. The nice thing is that I do have a workbook with templates and things like that to assist people who want to become project managers for learning, right? To help manage their e-learning projects and structure-led training projects and things like that. I will leave a link to that down below in case you're interested in buying that template and that workbook, and it really walks you through step by step my project management process. I am someone that is obsessed with project management. It's like one of my favorite topics, and probably one of like my extra special secret skills. So I definitely recommend you brushing up on project management because it is truly a lifesaver in instructional design. Here's my last question for you. Are you solution oriented? And the reason that I ask this is because a lot of times people are going to come to you with their problems. You are going to have to think on your feet sometimes and come up with some solutions. A lot of times people are going to come to you with what they want, and you're not going to be able to deliver, or it's not going to be the right solution. So you have to come up with a solution for them. You can't just say to someone, well, it's just not going to work. Well, why is that putting that certificate in the storyline module not going to work? Well, because of X, Y, and Z. And then there's just going to be like silence, blank stares, probably some crickets. And it's up to you as the instructional designer to then provide a solution. So this is a skill that definitely can be worked on, and it's definitely something that instructional designers need. Being solution oriented can be one of the most biggest assets that you have. Oftentimes, people will come to you with problems, and they will go to, whoever your manager is, with problems. But I will tell you, the ones that come to me with solutions or recommendations are the ones that stick out for me. And when I am looking for my next lead on a project, or when I'm looking to hire my next person, it's the one with the solution, or that always comes to me with a recommendation for a solution, that I am thinking of first. Instructional design, often you will run into problems. You will run into storyline crashing. You'll run into not getting content from the SME, and you are going to have to think quickly on your feet. You will constantly have to move and shift around. One of the things that you can definitely work on, and something that you really have to think about if this is the right industry for you, is becoming solution oriented. Those that just complain, that just say, oh, this SME didn't get me the content, so I'm not delivering the training on time. It's like, okay, the SME didn't get you the content. How did you try to grab the content from the SME? And what can we do, since we don't have the content, to work on, finding a way to get that, right? So can we talk to their manager? Can we pull some content that we know lives out there on the learning management system and start combing through that? Those are solutions to this problem. Or, oh my God, the SME went on vacation. Now what? You know, like so many things happen in instructional design that it's constantly like thinking on your feet and trying to shift and change. And that actually is definitely the last thing I want you to think about. How comfortable are you with fast changing priorities and fast changing timelines and deliverables and all of that thing? Well, all those things. Like instructional design, honestly, you are constantly shifting and changing and going from one thing to the next and pivoting, right? I mean, look how quickly we all had to pivot during the pandemic. And honestly, the way that the world is going right now, and I'm seeing people that are, being laid off left and right. Like there is going to be a lot of pivoting that's going to have to happen in the learning and development world right now. Organizations that just hired maybe an L&D specialist might have just fired them. And now it's up to, maybe you have a team of 4. Now it's up to the other 3 to pick up, because those things that 4th person was picking up, like those projects, they still have to get done. So like, how do you shift and you change? And that can be one of the hardest things for instructional designers, is being able to like pivot and know like where the priority is, and just like managing, or at least at the very least, like even if you need someone to help you like provide structure and say, okay, this is the priority, being able to raise your hand and tell your boss like, okay, I've got these 5 things. What should I work on first? Or what's the priority out of these 5 things? Like, you just dropped this bomb on me. Do you want me to stop this to work on that? And having that open line of communication, that is critical. And if you're looking for additional tips and tricks and trying to understand if idea is right for you, let me link you to a previous video I did that walks you through some additional questions you're going to want to ask yourself if this is the right field for you. Now, if you got to this point and you're wondering like, okay, Vanessa, you said that there is this other job out there that's like instructional design, but it's not instructional design. Well, it is project managers for instructional designers. And I tell you this as someone that constantly hires and is always on the lookout for project managers that understand learning and development, that understand the instructor-led training model, that understand what it takes to develop an e-learn, and all of those steps and all of those tasks. That is an amazing area for so many people to get into, and it's a forgotten area. I can tell you, I hire frequently for project managers. We're kind of like always hiring. And when I pull everybody that has applied for project management, the stack is this big, but the stack for instructional designers is this big. Just facts. Just facts. I definitely recommend that if you are someone that has that like secret sauce of project management and like truly enjoys it, definitely look out for jobs that are all about project management and instructional design. Those are typically, you'll be able to find those with like agencies and things like that. Not all organizations have a project manager for instructional, like the L&D department. Some do, some like larger ones definitely do, but I typically tend to see those with like agencies like mine. So definitely take a look out for that and consider that as another way to break into the field without having to go completely into instructional design. And the cool thing with that is that you could also then get into like QC. You can then get into like, looking at some of the deliverables, helping to write maybe some of the one-pagers and things like that, and then get some of your ID experience through this job that you had as a project manager. It's like a win-win. Okay, so if you've gotten to the end of this video and you're still wanting to be an instructional designer, friends, I have you. I've got you. We are opening up enrollment for, drumroll please, we're opening Destination Freelance ID. It is the new rebranded New Year, New ID program that I launched at the beginning of the year. And we had 5 amazing people that went through that program and really learned a lot about themselves, about what they wanted of being an instructional designer, about getting that job, sealing that deal, and branding themselves as instructional designers. I've taken that program and I've expanded on it. And we have now a longer program, but we actually get to work more together than we did before. So more Q&A time, more one-on-one, more workshops to really take what it is you're learning, like all of the content that I'm feeding you, and actually apply it. So if you're interested in learning more about Destination Freelance ID, make sure you click the link down below to learn all about that program. And friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.